again driven by its location. Agriculture is only 1% left. Industry is still 20%. It's a lot of assembly, engineering, metal, motor vehicle, transport equipment, scientific instruments, and so forth. You can read it there. We are also a very major logistic hub in Europe, again, because of our central position. We have big ports. The Port of Antwerp is one of the biggest ports in the world, airports and railways. Very high GDP per capita. Less interesting is that our debt is quite high. It's more than 100% of our GDP, but it is mainly an internal debt. So people are not panicking because it's actually a debt that the state owns to its own citizens. Unemployment is still at 8.5%, which may seem high, but it's not really, because Belgium is the only country in the world where once you are unemployed and you don't find a job anymore, the state will still give you a basic income for the rest of your life. So that's really, really, really generous. Our trade with India, we have 6 regional trade offices in India. The figures are quite impressive for such a small country. Again, we are India is Belgium's 14th supplier of goods before China. That is really, I mean, this is very surprising, but it's like that. We are India's 10th trade partner worldwide, so again, that's quite high for such a small country. And we are the 2nd trade partner in the EU. Now, there's a little, there's a little catch to that. Our trade figures with India, the value of our trade is very high. Why? Because of one product, actually, because of this product. So it's not as if we export massive quantities of these little stones, but they tend to be quite expensive, as most of us can witness. So what we need to do with India is, of course, diversify this trade, and that is why we have all these trade offices and these trade offices talking to you. The sectors that we're looking at are, as you can see, biotech, healthcare, infrastructure and construction. Again, I mentioned we have a lot of expertise because we were already so densely populated, so we do know everything about smart cities, how to manage cities. We have a lot of companies that are active in that field. Sustainable energy, and not to forget the other luxury products from Belgium, such as chocolates and beers. Some of our companies which are already present in India, some of them are engineering companies, like the dredging companies, for instance. And that's basically, actually, I end my presentation with a nice slide, which is actually a sort of momentum. It's a sort of testimony to the belief that Belgium had and still has in progress of science and of technology. This is actually a monument that was constructed, you know, the world exhibitions that take place all over the world. We only had one, no, we had several ones, but the last one that we had in Belgium was in 1958. That was the last time we had a world exhibition in Brussels. At that moment, 58, a long time ago, of course, the atom was, of course, in the middle of the scientific world at that moment. So they decided to build a gigantic atom as a symbol of our belief in the future and in the power of science and progress. And with that, I thank you very much, and thank you very much for having us here and to be associated with you.
Thank you so much, sir. I request you to stay on the stage for a couple of more minutes. Now I call upon Mr. Ilango, a face which can never be missed in a conclave like this. Our own past president of Codicia, Mr. Ilango, to give a memento to Dr. Bartek Group. A big round of applause, audience. Thank you, gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're breaking. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome on elaborate campuses in the city. Let's give them a big round of applause as they are the academic institution partner. The Dean wants to be present with his students. That's very wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, come on, let's give him a better round of applause. Dr. Karupasamy, it's a pleasure having you part of GMCV 2030.
Thank you so much. We now welcome GMCV 2030 special guest of the evening, an illustrious name in the supply chain. Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, Mr. Rajesh Kannan made my presentation very easier. It's a known subject. This is the second topic I'm going to talk about. Okay. We always talk about efficiency, where everybody crims about logistics innovation, where there is a mistake, everybody used to find out this. So GST helps us how we efficiently move this country forward, and that's how we are saying moving on to a faster lane. The semantic of, can you help me out? Make it bigger. See, he already spoke about the tax rate, okay, and then credit mechanism. So we'll be speaking about the place of supply rules, how it is working out. Impact on logistics. So this is a major topic where everyone is talking about. So this is where business and how we are preparing for it, how we are supporting you, and what is the impact on the end customer. How do they use? How do we logistics and the customers are oriented towards on the industrial vertical dependence. If you look at when we speak about macroeconomic perspective on the global economics, normally the supply chain efficiency is always levied on logistic cost on the percentage of GDP, national GDP. Well, we compare the USA and India. The USA spends about 8% of GDP, while India spends about 14% of GDP. You can see the logistics, the transportation and warehouse, we are less spending on it, while we waste something on other things. Inefficiency, or rather you call it as better efficiency from the transportation and warehousing, is moving towards the lossages, that is probably the inventory carrying cost and maybe the losses due to the wastage of foods. So the cold chain doesn't work. Post GST, we expect that normally the speed of the vehicle, the distance might get reduced. That's what we are expecting. Probably we would like to give the solution to us that way. Even better in USA, you look at that 50% is spent on transportation and warehousing. Well, we were better than them. So it's both, it's a better efficiency we can call it for. So the losses if you reduce, the damages we reduce, our GDP cost of spending will be even reducing further. How the typical supply chain works today, from the manufacturer, it goes to the C&F agent. Today, maximum C&F agents are working out. And then from there, it goes to the distribution stockist. From there, it goes to the wholesaler, and then finally to the retailers. There are a lot of movements happening, and this is how typically the supply chain works out. What is the changes will happen post scenario of GST? Centralization of inventory into larger regional warehouses. This will happen. This is certainly for sure, because this is the most important factor to work out. And then moving from the local to the regional warehouses. Probably from maybe if you take about South India, all this five, six states will combine into one larger warehouse, maybe at Chennai, maybe at Bangalore, and then you can work out towards. So the service level are likely to improving towards better efficiency here. The third one is shifting of full truck movement of, for the inventory transfer purpose to the larger warehouses. And the last one is the traveling speed of the vehicle. Today, the average speed of the vehicles are 35 kilometers. It might go to 40 or 45 kilometers. You know the tolls, you know the checkpost. Everyone heard about Walayar checkpost, right? The most disturbed checkpost across India is Walayar checkpost. It used to be about 72 hours or more than 96 hours the vehicle used to stand, and today it has come down to close to 24 hours. The vehicles are moving after 24 hours. Post GST, we expect that it may not be there, it may be even in 24 minutes, it can move on. That's what we expect. So this is going to be a huge change, which means the attack is going to be reduced. One day between Coimbatore to Cochin, it is going to be a big way making a difference. And you can see the wastages getting eliminated there. What is centralization of inventory? So currently, every C&F agents are operating across India with 20 warehouses, with smaller warehouses. Post one, this smaller may merge into regional warehouses, bigger warehouses. So might be 4 or 5 or 6. In the major cases, maybe 2 to 7 kind of warehouses may become. What does it mean to the logistics sector? How is it logistics sector going to help you out? So being Gati as an organized player, so it is well prepared because this kind of warehouse is already available and they are prepared for transition of quicker moving from the present one to the future one. How do we mean about local distribution to regional distributions? Now see, across India you have so much of warehouse available, and then it is likely to move from the smaller one to the major one. The LTL movements of regional markets is requiring for the consolidation. So frequent deliveries will happen. So if you have a vehicle, if you have a warehouse at Chennai moving to Cochin, today's date, since we have something called a place of Walayar is there, so we have one more warehouse created at Cochin. In tomorrow's date, if the efficiency is more, the vehicle is moving in 8 hours time, it can go from Chennai or it can go from Bangalore. So you have a consolidation warehouse. So the movement in a day, it can go 3 or 4 kind of routes it can go. In the past scenario, you take Indian Airlines. It used to have only Chennai, Delhi, Chennai, Bombay, those kind of flights used to be there. Today you see every regional places they are into, and they are increasing the frequency. You can just correlate those kind of things into our GST scenario. The third one is rise of high capacity fleet usages. Today's date you have a 9-tonner or 14-tonner, maybe single axle vehicle, multi-axle vehicle. So in those days you didn't have Volvo buses. Now you can reach maybe 5 hours to 6 hours to Chennai by Volvo buses. Those days you need to wait for 12 hours or whatever it is, right? So when you convert it into multi-axle vehicle, the speed increases. In tomorrow's day, the carrying capacity might increase. You can go for 40-footer vehicles, 60-footer vehicles, those kind of things will come. So the regional warehouses becomes very important to play the role, where